Hello. This is my third try, and I'm getting a little frustrated on showing you how to make how to, not this one. Oh, come on. All this silly stuff. Let's see what we have. I'm going to modify a scenario analysis and create a tornado diagram. We're going to show you how to add a new variable to the master scenario page and then adjust the variable for sensitivity and then structure the master scenario analysis for making a tornado diagram. We're going to create a data table for listing the results of the different scenarios. And because the data table has some real problems, we're going to use a macro instead of the data table as a second alternative. Finally, we're going to generate a tornado diagram from the scenario analysis. Now, this is a model of a solar project, and I added a line in one of my previous takes for degradation. Because the degradation, the panels get less efficient over time, just like I do. I'm obviously degrading over time. Now, what for all of these variables, I think if you looked at these variables, it changed from the base case to the low case to the high case. I hope they did. The construction period, the construction cost, the feed-in tariff, and so forth. Now we can also put a sensitivity analysis, and if we change it to the sensitivity analysis, then we're allowed to redo some of the items. If I switch it to the low case, you can see that it switched the feed-in tariff to the low case. If I go from the low case to the sensitivity analysis, and then I push the low case up or down, we can see just what happens to that. So we'd like to illustrate how this works. Let's include the variable for degradation and see if we can include a little a spinner box for this. Okay, here is the master scenario analysis where they all came from. Now, I don't know if you saw, all of these variables are the ones that showed up, at least these ones that weren't a code number, for in the different cases. The degradation didn't show up. And if you notice in this, for this degradation, I didn't have any value at the bottom of this sensitivity table. Now, in the inputs for the files, remember we start with the timing parameters, then we move to operations, and for the operations we include some of the size of the turbines, the number of the inverters, the development costs. Then we put the irradiation in per month. We include some data on probabilities of different radiation levels. We put the capacity factors in per month, and here's our little degradation assumption, and I just have that as a hard number instead of taking it from the master scenario page. Now, you can also see that if you take something from the master scenario page, it has a red color because the page is red. Okay, now can you the first thing we can do, by the way, the very last run here, let's see what case we're on. Let's put it back to the base case for a minute. This very last run allows you to adjust. This is how you adjust the different sensitivity factors. Now, if we put an index value here, we can just shade all of the lines. You remember the way the index works, you shade an area and then look at a row or a column cell. So that column I happen to use as a range name. There's a reason for that. And so that's our degradation index. let's press Shift Control E to get it to be a decimal. Now, to put a little button on this, I think this let's look. If I change this button, that changes this value. Look, obviously I did something wrong here. This should have gone to, let's make it go to 300. Okay. And remember, what you do here is if I switch this to the back to the base case, there's a little macro that just copies the base case numbers to this case. Now, this one's going to be a little more complicated than the others, because to get a spinner box to work on this one, oops, that's the one I just did. Let's copy this spinner box to here. Now, obviously, we can't use the spinner box. We have to make a temporary variable. So let's insert a couple of lines here, and let's say this is 5. So I'm going to make this this format go not to the number itself, but to this number. And let's press OK. And let's say that the degradation can go from 0 to 5 would be 0.5. Let's make it go to 10. Okay, and then this number is now I'll just take this number as number below divided by 1,000. Okay, so we can make our degradation go up and down. That's how we have to do it. Now, that's all fine and good. The problem is that when we switch from the base case to another case, we would like these variables to copy and paste. Now, I'm going to do that a little bit later. That's just getting a little too messy for right now. But we'll modify the macro perhaps in a different video for now. Okay. That was horrible, by the way, but that would take a little time to show you how all that works. Now that we've got the degradation set up, let's do the final step, which is the really important thing, and that's this degradation should come always from the index. That should come from that area. So it comes from that master scenario. This should be red now, which again I'm going to show you in another video how to take a macro and associate that with the color of the sheet. Okay, but before we do that, if you notice, let's make a tornado diagram now. And in this tornado diagram, I think I made a little mistake, because I didn't make a mistake really. I added a O&M inflation and a revenue inflation separately. So you notice there's no yellow thing associated with this. Let me just illustrate. We're going to need 2 more lines here. And let me illustrate how to set up this to make our little tornado diagram. Now, step 1, I'm going to delete everything except the very last line. Okay, and the first thing to do in making our scenario, our tornado diagram, is to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We take the 10 different items, and oops, before I transpose them, I'm gonna look at this. It switched to French. I'm gonna call that our low case. Here's what we're doing with this. We're going to take each of the different variables. Shift, Control, Enter, by the way. Oh, no. I counted wrong, didn't I? Let's do that again. How many variables? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Isn't that what I did? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Equal transpose. And then close the bracket and put low case. Okay, so we have a low case. Now what we're going to do is keep every single variable the same as the base case, except only change one. And for example, the very first one would only change the construction months, which won't make any difference at all in this case. And see what happens to the IRR, and then we can compare the base case IRR as all the base case variables with the case where we only change one single variable. That's the idea. Now we're going to do that both for the low case. So in this case, I would put a longer construction period and everything else would be the base case. In this case, I would have a higher construction cost. Everything else is the base case. And then we'll do the same thing, except on this one, we'll do it for the high case. Okay, so I'm going to transpose the variables and put the high case in. Okay, and then we have all the variables done. Now, to get this started, we'll just press F4 only on the row number. I pressed F4, I think, 2 times. And then I'm going to press Shift, I'm going to press across. If I press Control R and Control D, that does it. Maybe I could have press Control Enter as well. But then, so now we have all of our items copied. The only, where's the degradation, I suppose, worked, but let's press Shift Control E to get it in the same format. Okay. Now, once we have it set up like this, why doesn't this say sensitivity case? Okay. Once we have all of this done, let's go one by one. In each case, we're going to kind of go in diagonal. I'm just going to take the low case for each separate case. Okay. Here we go. Hopefully I did it right. If I didn't, you can probably find my mistakes. That's not so hard, is it? So we have higher inflation. And now let's go over to the beginning and go to the high case and do exactly the same with the high case. Is that really that hard? I don't think this is that hard, is it? It helped, I think, to put this little conditional formatting in. Again, the conditional formatting was done by, well, there goes my phone. I'm not going to answer that phone. I have no idea who that is. Okay. And it's going to come on Skype here too. This is going to be a real pain, but I'm keeping going. I'm just going. And now once we have that done, we have all the cases finished. By the drop-down box should include all of the cases now, all the way down to the O&M case. So we have an extra, the extra cases already finished for that, and we're really ready to go. Now to make this whole thing into a let's finish this. That's Alt EIS. Whoops, that didn't work. Oh no. Okay, so let's pull it down. Okay, so we have all of our scenarios in. Now this is a this. If you've ever seen a data table, it looks just like a one-way data table. And the good news about the one-way data table, it's easy to do. So these are all variables from the model. You know, to find this variable, somebody showed me this nice little trick. If I press Control and that square bracket, it takes you that. And then if you want to go back to where you were, press the F5 key. Okay, Control bracket. So that's the project IRR, and then the F5 key. Whoops, oh shit. Okay, took me back, but I did something wrong. Obviously, I pressed another button. So now let's make this table that gives the results of all of the different scenarios. To make the we just shade it down. Alt D T, and for the row input cell, we leave it blank. These rows are outputs. It's a one-way data table. For the column input cell, it's the scenario. Now, in case that's new to you, there is a video, there will be a video that has the, that does the whole thing for the, from scratch, and is much simpler. Now, what happened here is I had formulas and calculations options to automatic accept data tables.